Imagine you want to know your school's favorite snack, chips or pizza. Would you just ask your friends or a random mix of students from every grade? That's what random sampling is all about, keeping data fair and unbiased. In this video, we will learn how to select a sample randomly and also how we assign it to a process. We'll also be learning two important definitions, margin of error and confidence interval. Sampling means taking a small group of data from a large population to study it. If the sample is random, then only every member has an equal chance of being chosen so that our results are representative to the whole population. So always check whether the sample is selected random and also it must not be under any biased condition. If the sample is selected random, then only the results can be generalized to the entire population. If the sample is not selected at random, then we cannot generalize the results. And when you are assigning the sample to a process, there again, the sample has to be randomly assigned to the treatments. If the subject in the sample is randomly assigned to the treatments, then it is appropriate to make conclusions about the cause and effect. If the sample is not randomly assigned to the process, then you cannot appropriately make conclusions about the cause and effect. So only when the subjects are selected at random, you can generalize the results to the entire population. Similarly, only when you are assigning the sample randomly to the treatments, then you can talk about the cause and effect appropriately. The two important definitions, the confidence interval and margin of error. So confidence interval is the probability that the interval contains the true population parameter. And 95% confidence means that if the sampling process were repeated 100 times, then 95 of those intervals would contain the true population mean. The interval provides the range of the possible values. The margin of error is the amount of uncertainty in the estimate. It is a value added to or subtracted from the sample mean to create an interval's upper and lower bounds. So the interval is calculated as point estimate plus or minus the margin of error. When the confidence level is kept same, the size of the margin of error is affected by two factors, the variability in the data and the sample size. Larger the standard deviation, larger the margin of error. And increasing the sample size means there is more information and that reduces the margin of error. Here is a SAT style question. A study finds that the mean test score is 78 and the margin of error is 4 points. So the range of the survey result would be 78 minus 4 to 78 plus 4. So the range is 74 to 82. Now we can eliminate option A because we cannot calculate the true mean from a survey. And it's definitely not 95% of all test scores or 95% of all students. The 95% confidence is that we are 95% confident that the true mean score is somewhere between 74 to 82. So in sampling, it's not strictly about choosing the right answer. It's all about choosing the best option available among the options. So to summarize, the confidence interval is the range, and we get that by adding or subtracting the error from the mean of the survey. The margin of error gives us an estimation. So The small error means the survey is more precise. The wider interval means there is less precision. And the more the sample size, it is more reliable and there is less margin of error. So ultimately, the confidence interval tells us how sure we are about our data, and margin of error just tells us the wiggle room we have. So finally, one is range and one is probability. Please be careful while solving sampling questions. It's easy, but you need to think properly.